What I want to talk about today is what's known as a zapper. And a zapper is an automated sales suppression device. Its purpose is to steal money that otherwise taxpayers believe is going to schools, roads, and other such projects. The device is only for criminal purposes. It was first discovered in 1997 in Quebec province. And what this device is, you've all seen this kind of a cash register. They're all over the place, all over the world, in fact. And when you take this cash register apart, if it has got a zapper in it, that's what the zapper looks like. It's a small computer about the size of a cell phone. Technically, any high school nerd could build you one. And what does it do? It goes through daily receipts, and it only works on cash sales, by the way. But let's say at the end of the day, you've taken in $5,000 in cash sales. Then you hit a little code on the cash register that's not in the instruction manual, but given to you separately. And the cash register literally asks, how much do you want to steal? So you type in 500. That little zapper then activates, goes back through your sales for the day, and if you had dinner and dessert, it erases dessert. And when it's all done, your cash sales are now $4,500. And you have $500 in your pocket. Now in Quebec, they only had data on restaurants. There are a whole bunch of other ways that this zapper can be used beside in a restaurant. Vending machines and so forth. And what they found is they were losing $425 million a year to zappers. And it steals from everything. Income tax, sales tax, tobacco, you name the tax and it steals from it. Now, if you were to translate that $425 million to our population, number of restaurants we have in Michigan, and so on, it comes to about $740 million a year, restaurants only. Now, are there instances of zapper use in Michigan? Answer is yes. You recall the Lashish restaurant incident? He stole $20 million over a 4-year period from his 13 restaurants. And allegedly, some of that money wound up in the Middle East in the hands of Hezbollah, not proven. There's another case, the Kramer case. Fella in Detroit owned 2 strip clubs. And once or twice a month, he'd travel to his bank in the Caribbean. And he would have about $50,000 in small bills in a brown paper bag. Finally, one day, a TSA agent said, "What you got for lunch there in that brown paper bag?" And of course, they opened it up, and there was $50,000. And I don't know where he is in the prosecutorial process, but that's ongoing. I don't believe it's completed yet. Now, how widespread is this? Well, in New York, the cops did a sting operation and set up a phony restaurant chain. And then they advertised for cash registers. Of the 19 vendors who showed up, 17 said with or without a zapper. So it is widespread. Now, that's the first generation zapper. The second generation zapper is a dongle device like you see here. And here you got what looks like a flash drive, a cable, and then here's your zapper on the outside. Now, speaking to a senator from Georgia who's the CEO of a national restaurant chain, he said, with this second generation device, I can steal from all 1,600 of my restaurants without leaving my corporate office. Because the zapper in each cash register lines everything up for the back office operations for tax reporting and so forth. The third generation zapper is a cell phone. You can do it remotely. So this is a serious issue, and the question is, what are we doing about it? Well, in last year's budget, the budget we're in now, a year ago, I put $6 million in the budget in cooperation with Senator Colbeck. We put $3 million in the general government budget in Treasury and $3 million in the state police budget. And the purpose was to form a tobacco fraud unit. We have something like $200 million in escrow of the tobacco settlement money because we are not doing enough to stop black market cigarettes and similar fraud. So that purpose was to set up the fraud unit. And after the budget was passed, then I asked Treasury, the Attorney General, and the state police to meet with me, and we sat around in my office and talked about how to use that $6 million. And I said, look, that was 3 and 3, and it was just sort of to set things up. The numbers aren't right. Cops, you get $4 million. Treasury, you get $1.5 million, and Attorney General, you get $500,000. And then one of you three has to decide who's going to be the lead on this thing. State police said, we'll do it. Now, the state police came up with a really neat system. They've got a couple people in their headquarters looking after tobacco fraud, 6 part-time regional setups, and then they're in the process of training every state trooper to look for tobacco fraud. That's how it started. So that 3 times a quarter, a month, whatever, every trooper could check on tobacco fraud. Then when I found out about Zappers, I said, guys, you're not a tobacco fraud unit anymore. You're just a plain old fraud unit. You can chase Zappers too. So that's where it is now. The governor signed the bill into law last week. And what that law says is if you use, produce, make, transport, if you've got a zapper, it's a crime, 1 to 5 years in jail, $100,000 fine, and the zapper can be confiscated without a warrant, just like you can confiscate drugs or anything else that's illegal. So we're at the very beginning of doing something about the fraud that we see here. Now, to show you how worldwide this is, here's an example of a cash register, and it's in Swedish krona. And the way in the first generation you can catch this, there are codes here, H, I, and P, for what the money stands for. Started out with 65. After the zapper does its job, it's now only 45 came in the door. But the zapper didn't know about HIP. It's got 3 question marks there. Now that's being corrected in the second generation. The second generation not only corrects the cash register, it also corrects your inventory to match what your cash register is doing. Now the fellow who I first heard about this from said, you know, he's a tax lawyer out of Boston. He said, I can't get anybody to pay attention to this. And I said, I tell you what, the next time you make a presentation or you write a paper on this, at the end, point out that voting machines are not unlike cash registers. If this ever bleeds over, we're in a world of hurt. So that's why it is so important, really important, to get a handle on this kind of crime and to understand we don't like taxes anyhow, but now to find out that our taxes are going to criminals instead of their intended purposes is even worse.